Hello everyone, my name is Dave and today I wanted to do a video for you if you are looking to get into your very first house. We're going to go over 7 steps that you can take to buying your first property, from getting your finances together all the way to moving in. So get a pen, here we go. Step 1, start saving up for your down payment. Now what's a down payment? Well, chances are, unless you're already making tons of cash, you're going to need to borrow money from a bank to buy a house. But the bank wants you to have some skin in the game, so they're not taking all the risk in the transaction. So let's say you want to buy a $100,000 house. Most banks will want you to put 20% of your own money toward the purchase of the property. In this case, it'd be $20,000. Then you'd take out a loan from the bank for the remaining $80,000 to reach the purchase price of $100,000. Got it? So you'd need to save $20,000 as your down payment, and then you'd finance the rest of what you need to buy the house. Now, financing is just a fancy word for borrowing money or taking out a loan. And that loan is oftentimes called a mortgage. You know where the word mortgage comes from? It actually comes from ancient French and Latin, and it literally means death pledge. Tell me that doesn't make you think twice about buying a house. Now, there are other ways of getting a loan, including FHA and VA loans, but that's kind of beyond the scope of this video, okay? For now, just figure you want to save up 20%. Unless you want to pay PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. If you pay PMI, you might be able to get away with 10, 5, or even 3% down. But again, that's kind of beyond the scope of this video. Tell you what, if you hit the like button, I promise I'll do another video on the ins and outs of getting a loan. But for now, just think 20%. Step 2, check your credit score. Now, if you're new to the game, you might be thinking, what the heck is a credit score? Well, because our economy runs on people borrowing money, everyone has a number assigned to them that says what kind of borrower they are. This is called a FICO score. I did a whole separate video on it here, which you can check out. Essentially, your credit score is a measure of your trustworthiness as a borrower. The more you pay back your loans on time, whether they're credit cards or student loans, the higher your FICO score. The higher your score, the more trustworthy you are to banks and credit card companies. The more trustworthy you are, the more money you can borrow, and the less you'll have to pay for the privilege of borrowing that money. Yes, you have to pay to borrow money. And the cost of borrowing money is known as the interest rate. That gets tacked on to the amount of money that you borrow. So let's say you want to borrow $100. If you've been late on any payments in the past on credit cards or student loans or anything like that, the bank might charge you an interest rate of 10% a year. So in 1 year, you'll owe the bank $110. But if you have a high FICO score, if you're really trustworthy, the bank might charge you only 5%. So at the end of the year, you'd only owe $105. The higher your FICO score, the lower your interest rate. That's why it pays to have a good credit score. And you'll need a good credit score if you want to borrow money to buy a house. Step 3, get pre-approved for a mortgage. Now, this is where you have to start dealing with paperwork, but don't let that freak you out. You just have to be patient and keep good records. You can do this. Now, in order to get pre-approved for a mortgage, a lender will want to see all your financial records, how much you make, how much you spend, your tax records, how much you have in savings and investments and other assets, everything. From this, they calculate what's known as the debt-to-income ratio. They want to know if you make more than you spend, and if so, how much. This is all part of them sizing you up and determining whether or not it's safe for them to loan you money. They don't want you defaulting on your loan. Plus, getting pre-approved lets you know how much house you can afford. That way, when you go shopping, you're not looking at houses that are out of your price range. Now, ideally, you want to shop around to see which lender will give you the best interest rate. You can think of the interest rate like the cost of milk. One lender will charge $3.99 a gallon and others will charge $3.50. The point is, it pays to shop around because you can get deals on your interest rate. Step 4, you're gonna wanna find yourself a great real estate agent. Someone who's gonna help you find the right house, negotiate a great deal, and explain all the nuances of home buying along the way. And believe me, there are a ton. And here's the best part. The buyer's agent's services are actually free to first-time home buyers because the seller pays their sales commission out of the sales price of the home. So you've got your down payment, you've got a great credit score, you've been pre-approved, and you've got a great real estate agent. What now? It's time for step 5. You get to go shopping for a house. This is the fun part. As a home buyer, you can peruse thousands of real estate listings on sites such as Realtor.com, Zillow, or Redfin. Then you ask your agent to set up an appointment for you to see your favorites in person. Right now, because of the pandemic, inventory is really low, so there may not be much to look at, but don't let that stop you. Get out there and see everything. You never know what might fall into your lap. And the more you let people know that you're shopping for a house, the more leads you'll get. But a word of caution, beware of price creep. It's really easy to start falling in love with properties that are out of your price range. This is dangerous. You do not want to get in over your head financially. Okay, this happened to a lot of people in 2008, including me, and a lot of people lost everything. Don't let that happen to you. Okay, you found a home you're in love with. It's in your price range. Now what? It's time to make an offer. This can be one of the most exciting parts of buying a house, but also the most stressful. It's more than we can cover here, but if you hit the subscribe button, I promise you I will do a whole separate video all about the ins and outs of making an offer. And believe me, there's a lot to consider. That's why it pays to have a good real estate agent. Okay, they can help you through all the steps of making an offer that the seller can't refuse. Yay, they've accepted your offer. Now it's time for step 6, escrow. Escrow is when a third party holds money or an asset on behalf of the other two parties in a transaction. In the case of buying a house, generally you'll give the seller what's known as earnest money when you make the offer. It could be $5,000, $10,000. Think of it like getting engaged, okay? Earnest money is like giving them a ring to let them know you're serious. And the engagement period is known as escrow. Now, if all goes well during this time with home inspections and appraisals and title search and a bunch of other things, you and the seller will both end up at the church on time to say your I do's. And once you say I do, escrow closes. They get your money and you get the house. Step 7, you get to move in. It's time to roll up your sleeves and call your friends. It's moving day, the day you stop paying rent and start building equity. Congratulations! Guys, thanks for watching. If this has been helpful to you, do me a favor and leave me a comment down below. I have learned so much through the process of buying and selling multiple homes, and I'm happy to share my experience with you. And I'll be doing a lot more real estate videos moving forward, so if you want to join in, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you soon.